Elden Ring spelling test. Don't look at the title and spell Albinauric. Apparently spelling these boys' names is so frustrating that players have made them the permanent punching bag of the lands between. According to in-game data between launch of the game and May 31st, 2023, players farmed 12.8 billion Albinaurics, and for what? A few runes? Well, today these froggies get their revenge. After all, how hard could it be beating monsters, dragons, and gods as one froggy boy? One thing's for sure, since you can get this gear before fighting a single remembrance boss, that makes this qualify as a secret starting class. A term, please remember, that I made up. Let's get started. To watch these runs live, follow us on Twitch. We're doing dumb things like this all the time. Join the Patreon to support the channel. It really helps us out. These boys beat out the marionette soldiers on the last poll. If you want to change the winner, you gotta vote. Finally, make sure you like and subscribe. If y'all can farm 12 billion Albinaurics, surely you can farm us 12 billion likes, right? Now let's get started on what has to be the worst starting class we've ever done. Yeah, can I just say I crushed it in character creation? Like, wow, what a great job.
Tell me it was good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me that was good. Tell me.
Let's practice our parrying against the grafted scion with the buckler. I am not good. I am bad. Need more practice. Pass the tree sentinel or have it follow us into the church and kill us. One death down, 11,999,999 left to go. Malenia takes pity on us, and now we have a pony. So we can run. A lot. Lots of running right away here. Running to the third church of America, then warping to the dragon barrow to run more and start farming those dragon toes. If education isn't liberating, the oppressed can only dream of becoming the oppressors. Or, sucks to suck, let's suck on dragon toes. Once we get that big load from the bad dragon, we don't actually dump that much into vigor. Little bit, but not much. I want arcane first for drop rates because the farming has just begun. Off to Lernia where we have to do something truly sickening. I just buy the necklace from Boggart instead of killing him.
I don't know if you're allowed to do that.
Today, he lives. Fort Pharaoh next, we need the Dectus pieces to warp up to Volcano Manor right away. Last week's build is pissed at us and will not stop chasing us through the Mistwood. It almost makes us late trying to imagine frogs in fort height. Froppy, Toad from the X-Men, could see them being in there, but they're also kind of secondary or tertiary characters in their source material. By the way, Marvel, let me do a series run of Blob and Toad. Nobody will care what I do, so just give it to me. I have some ideas. DM me. On our way to the Grace, we start farming Albinaurics. In our quest to purify the world, we've corrupted ourselves. Maybe the quest for purity is in itself corrupted, as exclusion is a corrupt act. Or maybe we need a big bonk stick and it's not that deep. Speaking of getting deep, Raya invites us back to her place and Tanith gives us the bedroom key. It's on like Donkey Kong after he jumps in that crate that turns him into a frog in Donkey Kong country. Through the volcano town, I go the wrong way and we must confront the frog's natural predator, the snake. Just quit out, then run around and grab the mask. Wait. Did I forget to put the mask on? Wait. It says I have the mask on. Is the game glitching? My face doesn't change. Huh. It's like a bug or something. The game glitched out and it won't change our face when we're wearing the mask. I checked. Our resistances are better. We have the +4 to arcane. Hey, this helmet gives you +4 to arcane with no downside.
Fox.
Time for farming. Hey, look who knows how to parry. This guy does. But we shouldn't go for the shirt just yet. It summons like 10 other frogs. So we'll wait on that, or at least save it till the end. Little lore as we're farming. The reason that the Albinaurics are so pallid is because of the runoff from Altus. Apparently the magic they used in the royal capital has a bad effect on these guys. Basically, they're putting chemicals in the water that turn the freaking frogs gray. Next time we fight the frogs, I noticed something. These frogs are using the ShamWow. That's an option? Okay, let's get that. Didn't realize that. It's just right down in the High Road Cave, which is at the bottom of the road because names don't mean anything. Uptown Minneapolis is south of downtown. Come on, Tim Walz, fix this. The Democrats are screwed if you don't fix this. Shamshir required. Might as well beat up the Guardian Golem on the way out. A few strokes on the toes lets us get a huge loadout on the chest. A huge load of damage. The Blue Dancer Charm gives you a huge bonus if you weigh 10 pounds or less. Frogs do not weigh very much. So now we already have a decent decent build. Wait, what? I thought this was gonna suck. Raya Lucaria Crystal Cave, oh how I missed you. Missed isn't the right word. Haven't visited? I don't hate it or anything. It's more straightforward than a lot of the caves, but it's just kind of fine. Actually, it's good. Because if I think it's fine after running through here 100 times now, it's gotta be pretty solid, right? Crystallian is only beaten with stance pressure. The ShamWow doesn't have a lot of stance pressure, but you don't need a lot of stance pressure. I've literally beaten this thing with my bare hands before. Google Tulok beats it with his bare hands on your work computer to see that clip. And another clip. With smithing stones in the bag, the Shamshir can get spicier still, but still not spicy enough. Easy fix for the flask penalty, just upgrade it more. Lately we've been skipping the Bleed Church in Altus. This time we don't. That's one more upgrade level. Better healing is better. Sealed Tunnel has more stones, but also a great example of why this build might not be great. Things can hit us until we die.
How did I miss that?
We've got to find ways to get around getting hit. Obviously light load and dodging are a great start, but figuring out a pattern of stance and poise breaks also works great. The Onyx Lord, great example. Low-ish poise, but only a few of our attacks with the curved sword can break it. Curved sword ain't that heavy. Attempt 2, I figure out the rhythm. Jump attack, spinning slash. Don't go in until your stamina is high. We do have to trade one hit on the way out, but our flasks are good enough to balance that out. Not too bad. Didn't need to kill him, just wanted the runes to level up the sword. Hey, speaking of runes, if I want more of those, we should go to Caelid and the Abandoned Cave. Just gotta make it down without getting rotted. Just gotta make it down without getting rotted. Just gotta make it down without being rotted. Made it down without being rotted.
First try.
No stress, but if we don't beat the clean rots, we do have to do that again, and they rot me immediately. No problem, just gotta go fast, and our damage is pretty cracked. Like I said, Blue Dancer Curved Sword, totally viable build, as long as you don't get hit. Let's show Margit how good it is, but stance pressure, still non-existent. I don't think this is gonna be the move for later enemies. We need them to stop moving, but we don't need to be perfect forever, just good enough for now. Danger Path ain't that bad. You just need to do it every week for 2 years and you'll get it down. Come to think of it, I must be uniquely bad at this game to still flounder against stuff, right? We died grabbing smithing stones that we could have just bought with less runes than we lost while dying. Yeah, your boy is uniquely bad. Like you might think, oh, but you're way better than me, Phil. Yeah, I sure hope I am. I do this every day. If you did, you'd blindfold no hit every boss. Godrick does go pretty smooth. I'm mostly hitting jump attacks and charged heavies because I know we can get away with it. That even gets us the stance break in phase 1, but he's on the stairs, so we don't get there for the crit. Stupid high ground. Another one to start phase 2, and no, we don't have bleed on this. That's just how much damage we do. Blue Dancer. Pretty great. Godrick's dead, let's go get rid of the Blue Dancer. Oh, also important, it looks like we're smacking ass when we swing the sword. Back to farming, our damage is 3 times better, and oh hey, the first Albinauric dropped the Peyronie's Great Club. That's Peyronie on your work computer. Safe search off if you're a real one. Since our stick is so thick, it takes lots of runes to level it up, and that means we need to hack up a tree. Thankfully, Blue Dancer ShamWow still makes you say wow every time you use it, even against the Dragon Barrel Putrid Avatar, which is dummy thick. Honestly, very excited for this build. That is a simple frog boy showing everyone the cool stick he found. Sadly, we're not quite fast enough to beat Grail, but that's Grail's fault because he hits the bridge at a straight up 90-degree angle. This is a fight where you fight a bowling ball as the pins, but today he's got the bumpers on, so he can't lose. Bumper bowling is fun though. I don't care if it's not real bowling. I'm not super passionate about an authentic bowling experience. I just like to hang out with my friends as they get wasted and nobody can lose, and someone drops a bowling ball on their toe and breaks it, and someone's got to bring them to the hospital, and you're the sober cab, but everyone else there is still drunk, so you say, hey everybody, you gotta stay here or get an Uber home because you're not driving home drunk. And they're like, yeah, we're not. We didn't bring a car. And I'm like, oh crap, okay, we gotta go to the emergency room. Anyway, last thing we need is the belly. Oh hey, it's Boggart. I didn't really want him to live. It's funnier when he dies. Because I hate him. Tons of frogs over in the gate town. Now as this is happening, let's discuss a common question. Phil, why do you use some pieces of the kit and not others? For example, the Tree Sentinel shield and the Tree Sentinel torch. Well, first of all, we did use the shield in the only fight it was useful for. Maybe you enjoy using a shield, I don't. Maybe you think countering spells with the shield beam is fun and good. I think hitting things 5 times with a halberd till they die is fun. That's basically what it boils down to. So why aren't we using the smaller Peyronie's Club, the Ripple Halberd? or the Ripple Axe. They're worse than the Great Club. I know they are. Eventually we get that belly, and this is perhaps the most accurate cosplay we've ever done. Somehow we look more lore accurate than we did as Vike, an NPC whose armor is in the game, and like how? But more importantly, how can you fill your belly with delicious food? The answer's easy. Today's sponsor, HelloFresh. That's right, gamers, this video is sponsored by HelloFresh. HelloFresh sends you a box of delicious ingredients that you get to put together to be your own tasty meals and learn valuable cooking skills, along with the recipes you need to make those foods. You don't have to wing it. We just got done setting up the Albinauric for success, but if you want to set yourself up for success for a successful day, success again, I said it again, you need to eat a healthy breakfast. That's why subscribers to HelloFresh get a free breakfast item with every box they order, for life. As long as you're a subscriber, you get free breakfast. Now that's what I call success. Summer is almost over. We're back to fall, back to that school, college grind, back to that work grind. No more vacations for you. That's why you need fast to make meals so you can get back to work or get back to gaming when you get home from a long day of work. That's why HelloFresh has a selection of meals that will be ready to eat in 20 minutes. Imagine cooking something for 20 minutes and ending up with something so delicious. But hey, we get it, plans change, and maybe you're taking a little vacation from that long work grind and need to reschedule your HelloFresh order. That's why you're able to change your delivery date or skip a week. They're not gonna send you a bunch of ingredients that'll just sit on the doorstep as long as you let them know you're not gonna be there. As I've mentioned in other videos, I just took a little 4-day break, had to reschedule an order. It was super easy. All it took was a few clicks. Click the link in the description and use our offer code TULOKOG10 to get 10 free meals and free breakfast for life. 1 breakfast item per box while the subscription is active in the US. The link and code are active in all countries and the local discount will apply if you're out of the United States. Again, click the link in the description and enter that offer code for 10 free meals and free breakfast for life. Now let's get back to the Albinauric run. Although Albinauric's kind of long. Maybe I'll just call him Al. We have the Payronies Club, but why don't we pay Ronnie a visit in Carry a Manor? See what I did there? I don't know if an Albinauric could carry a manor, but 12 billion could. They could beat every Pokemon too, because 12 billion is a lot of Albinaurics. Loretta gets stance broken so fast because Great Hammer is the single best weapon type in the game. Don't at me, I am just correct. Every Great Hammer is good. On the other side of the manor, we find Albinauric Spirit Ashes. They can be our bodyguards. We can be their long lost pal. I'll call them Ben and Eric. And then when they call me, they can call me Al. 1 more sacred tear from the Lightning Church, then down to Weeping Peninsula. That's 2 more than I normally have, and our second biggest weakness is alleviated fully, the penalty from the helmet. Our primary weakness of wearing a frog mask and a baggy t-shirt to fight God, that's still there. I actually kind of have a solution to that. You see, bosses can't kill us if they're dead. So let's dead them faster. Part 1, beat Radahn. Our hammer is mighty. Not really, actually. Not yet. We're still investing mostly in Arcane, and that gives us nothing with this club. I actually get the crit in phase 2. We win. Hopefully everyone leaves these remains alone. Not talking to you, Alex. Eat up, buddy. You got a big day ahead of you. Need your energy. We make the super swag jump on the way down to Nokron. I'm absolutely goated. This is the best build I've ever done. Fighting a Soldier of Godrick is quite hard. What about Narek of a Bial? Also quite hard. R1 has to be pressed. You have to press the left stick towards the boss. A harrowing fight. Managed to win first try. When I say I'm goated on the sticks, today, I mean it. I'm literally using a big stick. Hey Ronnie, can I get the key to that chest? Thanks. On the way, we grab the Black Whet Blade to take advantage of our high arcane with Bleed, Occult, and Poison weapons. So just Bleed and Occult. Poison's bad. Also though, remember when we killed Boggart? It wasn't because I hate him. Well, it wasn't just because I hate him. Braggart's roar is attached to his balls. So when we bust his balls, we get that roar and we can put that on other weapons, like the club. Totally in character for the frogs. They roar all the time. They go, nah. It's adorable. The fact that it also boosts our stamina recovery, damage reduction, and total damage, totally incidental. I'm just role-playing. Our frogs need weed. They are omnivores after all. Wait, are they? No. They eat bugs. They're carnivores. This is the face of a killer, Bella. Actually, it's the face of someone who says, what? 3 times after their friend says something and still did not hear or register the information, but is gonna pretend they did because it's too embarrassing to ask again. Maybe this lad just needs to go to school. Oh shit, frogs versus wolves? What is this, Bloomborough? It's the debut of our little lads. They have frost breath. Wait, are they good? I thought they were gonna be a joke, but no, they're pretty good. Just like the Albinauric build. though. I thought the build would be a joke. But the damage against Renala is bananas. Well, it's not bananas. It's pretty good. Enough for a one cycle of phase 1, but barely. Now phase 2, that's where it's at. Even if the physical damage is only very good, the stance pressure is off the charts. Best in the business at it. I know the Colossals technically have more, but these hammers are faster, eat less stamina, and don't have stupid rolling attacks that make you whiff. No shortcut before the Godskin Noble and Volcano Manor. I'm just going for it. Bleed buildup is absurdly fast. We get a stance break and 2 charged Chevys. Considering we get 1 for free as they stand up, this is basically a scripted fight. He tries to wind the roll up out, but Ben hits him with the Frost Breath. Oh, and we're still super low level. It doesn't matter. If I said Great Hammer was my favorite weapon type, the other weapon types might get jealous, but I don't give a damn. Great Hammer, it's my favorite. Stay jealous, Thrusting Sword. I'm still using the Serpent Hunter for Rykard, but you don't have to see that because skip to the moose. This fight also kind of sucks. Our hammer is big though. If we can just not get hit by the weird spindly leg hitboxes and hit those weird spindly leg hurt boxes, we'll win. He thinks he's a rabbit. Then we beat him to death like Lenny from Mice and Men with a big stick. Valiant gargoyles are weakest to strike, and yeah, can you tell?
That's a lot of damage.
I like having a big strike weapon against these two. It's so nice. That's why whips are weirdly good in this fight. Always thought they should do slashing damage, but no, it's strike. Onward to the deep root depths. We stopped by a quick grace and realized that the horse is headless down here too. Damn, the Mausoleum Knights cut their horses' heads off? Messed up. Via's champs get demolished. You think a build this strong is gonna flounder to them?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so I forgot we have no armor and gank can be a bit of a problem. When we do hit, we hit hard. But specifically Lionel is such a pain in the ass to get around. Really annoying stuff with his long sword and the summoned skulls. Once we get in, we win. Only took 1 more try. Incel Rivermane and no, they're not. The Albinaurics plow, and based on the shape of that club, they plow in a very satisfying way. Might be sore for them, but Peyronie's often comes after too much plowing. Obviously, that's why the churches don't like them. These frogs be frogging each other, wearing rubbers that are riveted for their pleasure. Anyway, Estelle's a big space bug, and frogs eat bugs for breakfast and lunch and dinner. I don't know that frogs actually have strict meal times. I think they kind of just hop around all day snacking. Most animals do. Humans are the only animal that needs to pay money to live. We're also the only animal that can play electric guitars and make chicken parm, so that's a trade-off. Pre-capital done. Let's go frog the god to death.
Froggy when the coating and he did right on.
Into the capital, we bash the tree since we are pretty low level still. Doesn't even matter that we fully whiffed the first braggart charge. Even R1s with this thing are enough to put the pressure on to get you those juicy frog crits. Let's grab the ritual shield talisman, basically giving us 1 free hit, and then make some horrible amalgamation that spits in the face of God, the frog turtle. Roar medallion would also help our charged attacks, but it's too far down a hole. Turtle is right here, and Turtle doesn't ever let you down. I'm on that occult club for Godfrey because he can't bleed. I know some people are gonna cry because we used a bleed club, but dog, if we used the occult club, it really would have been 10% worse at most. This shit is not good because it has bleed. It's good and it can have bleed. Basic weapons are so neat for that reason. You can just make any of them like 10% better. Morgott, more like you forgot to put the bleed back on Phil. Jump attacks break him down fast and he turns the area into a swamp. I was born in the swamp. Molded by it. I tapped it for 1 black mana, because if we make an Albinauric Magic the Gathering card, it would be 1 black mana with a squad ability that costs 1 red mana for each use. Then you tap and sack them to give yourself 1 experience counter. The Jund Magic Precon will of course be proliferate and counters focused, with Rykard as the face commander and Godrick as the backup commander. Moog is in the 99 with bleed counters, a new effect that stacks up on a player like poison counters, except they lose life equal to the amount of bleed counters when they take combat damage on the following turn. Then they remove their bleed counters. So that works with Rykard being a +1/+1 counter sack machine, and experience counters for the Tarnished. It's just counters and stacking, and a little proliferation for all of them. Patches is a planeswalker for Rakdos. Moog can't be one of the commanders because he's just Rakdos. He's not Jund. He doesn't have any green in his color identity, but he still works with the situation of the deck. So sorry, you can just build your own Moog bleed focused deck later with things like Okina in there. Actually, Okina probably, there would be too many legendaries if Okina was counted as a legendary. So he would just be like a Land of Reed's warrior or something like that with like bleed on and first strike to do the Rivers of Blood. Anyway, 4 Harris lands. Don't be afraid to move away from the 4 Biden lands. Nobody likes the 4 Biden lands. The thing people like most about the 4 Harris lands is that it's not the 4 Biden lands. I know you still gotta be the Veep, but dog, what's he gonna do? Fire you? Push further and believe in yourself. Right back at the top of the mountaintops, we get the bell bearing because, oh my god, we're only at plus 13? Great hammers, they are just too freaking good. Right before the fire giant, we grab the last 2 sacred tears we need and our ancient dragon smithing stone for later. Let's crush some toes. The hammer is actually too good at breaking his stance, getting a break right before phase 2, which is not what I want because I want to carry pressure into phase 2. Except if it's breaking stance that fast, that's fine. We'll get another one in phase 2. Bleed is also great. We have over 120 bleed buildup currently, and that just cuts off huge chunks of HP. Honestly, we have a harder time with the chain. Why do you gotta work when sleepy? For the same reason I have to fall off the fucking chain. Just stop. Yeah, if you're ever streaming Elden Ring, don't try to read the chat while you're climbing this chain. You're gonna die. We won't lose to the Godskin duo unless we get greedy.
Game over, man.
Seriously, 2 hits make it bleed, and I screw up the phase transition and just get rolled out. Silly greedy boy. Try again, but don't be stupid. Don't be greedy. Don't roll poorly. Or at least 2 of those. Yeah, I greeted in the Black Flame Ritual. What are you gonna do about it? I was misjudging the stance pressure because we summoned Bernie, so it's different than it was in Volcano Manor. He gave them a little bit more resistance, so we can't just chain them with 2 charged heavies anymore. Also, damn, the strike resistance here is wild. Makes sense, they're made out of jello. You can't really punch jello in a way that matters. What's the key to comedy? Timing. Accuracy doesn't hurt. Bleed and stance pressure carry us through though. So do 3 other people. Honestly, we're getting carried left and right. That's the last bell bearing we need for a fully maxed out Peyroni club. 139 bleed buildup per hit.
Let's fucking go.
I wrote a spoiler joke in there, but I cut it. Everyone tell my therapist I'm doing a better job not getting mad at the audience. Spoilers for therapy, I guess. Your dad's a narcissist, incapable of loving anyone but himself. But that doesn't mean that you don't have inherent value as a human being. Oh boy, it's Malekith, but we have a big stick. He's a big dog. Let's get fetching. Gretchen Wieners be damned, we make fetch happen so fast, getting a wicked fast stance break and a bleed, and duck under him in phase 2 for another big hit. Thought the jump attack would break it, but no, it needs 1 more hit, and then we get the bleed crit, and a jump attack will take us home. Frogs love jumping, that was clean. Phil now has time to script his videos and his fights. Stop telling me to play like the other Elden Ring creators. Start telling them to make jokes about Fortnite. Gideon sent people to butcher the Albinaurics? Huh. Time for some karmic justice. Obviously, he can't handle our bonking power, even if he tries to keep us out with his black flame.
Future's now, old man.
Godfrey did not kill a bunch of Albinaurics. He killed a bunch of fire giants though. Solidarity. If one person is in danger, all people are in danger. Oh, by the way,
I'm in danger.
you gotta remember we are squishy, like frog. Second attempt goes better, until I roll poorly, and then get hit by a quite questionable hitbox. I'm sorry.
I disagree.
Number 3, he decides to never end his combos. Honestly, great idea. We decide not to crit. Honestly, bad idea. At least we make it to phase 2, get that stance break right away, and then bleed him while he winds up for the earthquake. It's over. Once he starts stomping, the frog has won. Our last obstacle is Radahn, who we just script. Hit, hit, stance break. Go for the big stomp, we jump attack, charge as he lands, stance break. He doesn't even get to do the hammer slammer. We're that mean. Elden Beast is a slug. I think frogs eat slugs, not looking it up. Herpetologists in the audience, let me know. I did look up herpetologist. These supercharged heavies are doing bonkers damage, putting the bonk in bonkers. 1 last crit and oh god, he's not dead. Double tap, double tap, double tap, double tap, double tap, we win. Wasn't even stressful. Remember, if kings are chosen by gods and your king is cruel, then bonk the god on the head with a big stick until you're god now. Let's fight the duck lady. Do ducks eat frogs?
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg.
But first, a brief detour of the giant conquering heroes grave for the last grave glove awards we need. Wow, that was so brief. First boss of the extra bosses is Plassey. He's the worst, so I want to get it over with. Stance pressure, huge here, letting us get the braggart charge on the head and get a crit. Lead is also nice, but it's mostly just the stance pressure that's helping us here. That's what lets us skip the Omega Laser. Easy fix. If you don't like boss's attack, kill them. Commander Niall blocks the rest of the bosses. He's a big boy with a big stick and 2 boys. We're a little boy with a big stick and 2 little boys. We're not so different, you and I. Well, except that I'm alive and you're dead. That's a little different. Obviously, we're not going to kill Albus. Wait, Albus could be shortened to Al? It's going to be confusing. You know what? Bonk. I decided to pick up these silver scarabs so we can farm one item for one boss later. Guess which boss and guess which item while we fight the Albin Mimic. Did you guess the shield for Radahn? If you didn't, you're a fool. Frogs versus penguins, much less exciting than Godzilla versus Kong, but also much cuter. Moog should be a joke, he bleeds, his stance breaks fast, and those just combo until he dies. Unless we get really greedy, we're gonna win easily.
I'm going to die.
Okay, so we just have to be like a little less greedy. Not even that much less greedy. His stance still breaks incredibly fast. He bleeds in like 3 hits, and when we get a crit, we get a free hit, which gets us closer to another stance break. It's a vicious cycle, and I'm the washing machine, because you're getting washed, Moog. Probably needs to. That blood is gonna stain all of those robes. Carrion Study Hall, get some hugs. I feel like Al needs a hug. 12 billion of his closest friends got spammed to death by the Elden Beast sword. At least it won't happen anymore, because we killed that dude. 40 sacks, I'll be honest, I think the most we've ever gotten in a video is like 6. I'd have to check with the upper brass on that. Saxophones are woodwinds, actually, but I don't know how to get that joke in. Anyway, Death Lightning Dragon or a frog? Who would win? Oh my god, wait, holy shit, would win. Okay, who would win? We win. Just hit the toes. It's very easy. The archers in the liturgical town surely won't shoot at me. This is my home. Well, I guess maybe they'll drop their armor. Technically, they're also Albinaurics, so if they drop their shit, we get to wear it. They don't, so let's leave. Allegedly, Miquella made the Haligtree for the Albinaurics, but are you sure, dog? Half of us can't walk. Imagine having to take these branches in a freaking wheelchair. Like, can't make the swag jump? Able's little shit. Speed up Loretta, who was allowed to bring in her mobility horse because Malenia felt bad about leaving her on red. We died, but then I was smart and put on the physic tier that makes you take 15% less damage. Remember everyone, spear dashes are cheating yourself out of a true challenge and are for babies, but pressing square to take 15% less damage is fair and balanced gameplay. Yeah, so long as we don't get domed, Loretta isn't a problem. We break the horse's legs really fast. Aw, now she has more in common with Loretta. That's adorable. We goofed the platforming, but that's because someone didn't put a ramp in. You know what? Miquella's our nemesis now. Where'd that little shit get to? Maybe his sister knows. Oof. She was supposed to be watching him and he's gone? His family is kind of beefing it left and right. I'm not bringing Ben and Eric for this, just Al. I don't want her slurping up the frog juice. Besides, we have Bleed and Bonk, 2 things that make Malenia suffer. She has some things that make us suffer though, like Attack of the Clones tornado right as we were about to win on the first try. That's a bummer. Attempt 2, she starts further away. Roar, starts swinging. Light load is really helpful for like a lot of her attacks. After the first stance break, we can hit the charged heavy, then almost die to a ducky dance. Ducks eat frogs, sometimes. Remember, we whiff a crit, we whiff another one. We're in phase 2 again. Reapply the roar and start bonk, bonk, bonking. The pressure is so insane that we almost kill her before the second onion. But then she goes in the second onion and yeah, free punish. We win. One more big charged attack is all it takes. You might not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. Speaking of things you might not like.
What up? I'm Jared, I'm 19, and I never fucking learned how to read.
Seriously though, this isn't like controversial at all. Y'all have responded so warmly to this bit that I was worried about flopping. It means the world to me. This is my favorite section of the runs to write. I even check the analytics. Y'all don't check out for these like you do for the ad reads. By the way, please stop doing that, but y'all stick around, even sometimes bump it up, and you always leave those nice comments. Anyway, today we're talking about class structure, the military-industrial complex, and consumption.
Consumption!
Not like that, like using up of a resource. As it turns out, consumption is the best way to identify a power structure of Elden Ring. Specifically, everything flows down to the Erdtree. Let's look at one of Elden Ring's most obvious consumers.
The loathsome dung eater.
No, not yet. Maybe later. Love your spirit. Alexander. After you first scrape with Radahn, Alex is enjoying a post-workout protein binge. Game recognized game. I too am built like a fierce jar warrior. Except instead of chocolate milk and protein powder, maybe a scoop of peanut butter if I'm feeling saucy, Alex is chomping up the bodies of the fallen. This is a jar tradition and it's a little weird, but that's because during the Shattering War, the jars serve their purpose by eating up the bodies of the fallen soldiers, waddling them over to their nearest minor Erdtree. Then an Erdtree avatar would use their big honkin' hammer to smash them open and spill the bodies on the ground. Erdtree avatar, of course, meaning this is literally the avatar of the Erdtree. This is what the Erdtree wants, more than anything, channeling its will most directly through the world. The jars are magic, reassemble, and waddle over to the next battle to start chomping again. Cycle repeats. Bodies are great fertilizer, helping soil retain moisture, and it creates nitrogen for the plants. In Elden Ring, though, nitrogen is spelled nitro, G-O-E-N, and if you pronounce it wrong, everyone points at you and laughs. Except that the jars probably didn't start in the lands between. You see them in the Land of Shadow, where they were used to ritualistically torture and kill the shamans. Why do the Hornsent do this? To make the shamans ascend to sing to it, or to put it another way, some outside god force told them to. Marika takes over, kills the Hornsent, goes to the lands between and says, hey, I've got a great idea how to get the bodies of the dead people into the trees. Jars. Cycle's slightly different, but it's basically repeating itself. Even Morgoth, who is abused by the power structure as an omen, basically tries to keep it together when he ascends to power. An abused child perpetuating the violence that was once inflicted upon him? I guess the apple don't fall far from the tree. Consumption is equated with power. The more you consume, the more powerful you are in the system of consumption. It's like a food chain. The Erdtree gets the most power. Marika gets power from the Erdtree. Morgoth gets power from Marika. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's basically the same concept behind trickle-down economics or the Human Centipede films. But an abusive system like this perpetuates itself because when the thing on top dies, is supplanted, or is otherwise removed, the vacuum of power is filled by the next in line. And sure, they could stop the trickling down or centipeding out, but after you've been trickled upon or made to eat shit, steak tastes really good. It's why power is such a corrupting influence. It's also why we get so many outgroups in the lands between. Albinaurics, of course, are standouts. Omens also would apply, and the demi-humans. By the way, we got some colonizer imagery there. They have a full system of government with queens and chiefs. You might think they can't talk, but Bach sure can. He says his mother did too. Maybe they just speak a language we don't. They're pretty organized, with every queen and chief having some little buddies around, yet we're pointed in their direction and told to start swinging. Colonization is a large part of power structures and consumption for a couple obvious reasons. In terms of consumption, you need more shit to consume, and they have shit over there, and they're consuming it slowly and sustainably. Don't they know they could consume it so much faster like we do? Let's show them how we do it. And also, basically just consume it ourselves. In terms of power structure, colonization acts as a method to jump the line. You're in the middle of the centipede, well, there's two people over there who aren't eating shit. Why don't you run on over there and get to stitching? Then you can be in the front. Also, sorry we're doing so much human centipede imagery. It's just the most apt metaphor for capitalism. I've never found a fountain to work like, trickle down, because water pools at the lowest level of the fountain and internally trickles up, which isn't how trickle-down economics works. Trickle-down economics assumes magically the water will just go to the top of the fountain. Anyway, whoever's at the top of the power structure determines the allocation of the resources. And wouldn't you know it, the people at the top think that the best place for all the resources is at the top. All the benefits of the Shattering War move upward through generals, then kings, then gods, and boy howdy, is war good for consumption. In the 30s, everyone in the United States was so sad because capitalism failed and all the resources got stuck at the top and everything exploded. It's the Great Depression. Happened in 29, but it happened more in the 30s, Like it happened in 29, like The Matrix came out in the 90s, but it affected the movies that came out in the 2000s. We did a great job with it. But then we found a new way to make money because of this super evil dude on the other side of the world and began a wartime economy. Wartime economies boom because the central power structure is forced to incentivize the lower class to get off their lower ass. And they do it with money. People are paid to be soldiers, people at home are paid to make guns, ammunition, and planes for wars overseas, and everyone gets to go to work. It's even better when the theater of war isn't where you are. The royal capital seems pretty unfucked with as a result of the Shattering War. Limgrave and Lernia are covered in ruins. Caelid is completely uninhabitable because of a super weapon that was launched there. More on that in a second. But the royal capital, it's golden. Like literally, everything's gold. It's perfectly fine. That's basically the US. Post-World War II, we were the battle theater for like a weekend in Pearl Harbor. And after that, everything happened overseas. Post-war economy was great, except we had all these places that made weapons and they didn't have any reason to keep making weapons. That sucks. A big reason that the US military will always be the number one portion of the US taxes is because of the war production in World War II. Everywhere across the US was making weapons, so almost every state in the country has economic incentive to keep producing weapons. It's why military budgets keep increasing whether we're at war or not. Members of the legislative branch make money for their districts by perpetuating war. Sure, we weren't technically in a war every year post-World War II, but you can be damn sure we needed weapons to be ready for those scary Russians. And we had to fight those proxy wars in the other countries, then just invade the wrong country after we were the target of a terrorist attack. Twice. Oh, by the way, a lot of the weapons the Taliban and Al-Qaeda were using were leftovers from the gifts to the Mujahideen to fight the Russians in the 80s by Ronnie Reagan. It's almost like constantly making weapons makes it more likely that those weapons will be used and makes the world drastically less safe. Womp womp. Elden Ring is in a perpetual state of war. Back to the lands between. We see the perpetual war machine trucking along for the benefits of the Erdtree, throwing bodies there so they can keep eating them up. Yum yum yum. Those who live in death are a big problem since they don't get jarred. They just keep living. Darn it. By the way, anyone who's going to say, the wandering nobles are nobles and they're weak like little idiots, so the game is saying nobility is bad.
Wrong!
The wandering nobles are former nobles. They now live in death and are part of the persecuted faction. Check your facts. War isn't the only method of constant consumption, though, because while Georgie Martin might be a true blue American patriot, Miyazaki's Japanese. Leading up to World War II, Japan was all about the military. They did some colonialism themselves and signed up on a team with Hitler and Mussolini, two guys who were, in fact, I'm checking my notes here, bad. After World War II, though, Japan didn't seem all that interested in doing wars, probably because America dropped 2 atomic bombs and killed over 150,000 of their civilians. Kind of K-litted them, if we're keeping the metaphor here. Last year, we made a movie about the guy who made the bombs and how sad he was about it. But Japan, despite not doing a perpetual wartime economy, is currently facing an aging population, a loneliness epidemic, and what the hell? I thought only the perpetual war machine was bad, Phil. Why is Japan so sad? Because Japan is also doing consumerism. They just shifted their military consumption into technologically based consumption. People are still working insanely long hours for very little material benefit because they're still in the back of the centipede. Both authors of the game come from countries suffering due to the top-heavy bloat of consumption. Also, both authors use this as a motif in their other works as well. Game of Thrones and the other Souls games are loaded with these themes. It works ludonarratively too with the themes of cycles. For those who don't remember, ludonarrative is the story being told through the gameplay. You do the same thing over and over again. It sucks. You get your ass kicked. Maybe you notice some mistakes you made and do a little better. Maybe that's what we can do to hopefully break out of the consumption cycle. Everything in the lands between is dead, dying, or decaying except the Erdtrees. They're glowing bright beacons in every area they're in. Aspirational landmarks to chase for a small reward of a golden seed. You can't have the Erdtree, you can just have the seed and hope that maybe if you work really hard, it could bear fruit. The problem there goes back to meta. Everything is screwed because it's based on a failed premise. Or to put it another way, I think this apple's rotten to the core, from the things passed down from all the apples coming before. More like Albinaur brat, am I right? Funnily enough, the US did actually kind of pause making weapons a little bit, kind of. The Apollo 11 mission was a fully paranoid dash to the moon because we were scared of the Russians. Operation Paperclip was messed up and maybe we shouldn't have been so eager to give Nazis jobs. Nothing we do is totally clean, but we spent a ton of money trying to go to the moon for really no other reason than a pissing contest. And it was overall a pretty good thing. We built useful technology for the common man and a lot of stuff for bombs, but also good stuff. We put scientists and mathematicians to work and just getting together and spending money to make something that isn't specifically blowing people up still sends more of that money to the front of the centipede going down. And what is the most morally sound ending in Elden Ring? The one where you go to the goddamn moon. Might seem like we're repeating a lot of the same things, but like Muriel says, all things indeed are conjoined. Each of these thematic elements bleeds into another, and understanding all of them makes the game a more rewarding experience. Anyway, here's the other bosses we beat up. I did the big hippo early because getting the tree fragments was wicked boring. Our club is clubbing so hard, I'm not totally sure when we bleed and when we're just hitting it. Every hit seems like a bleed proc, but it also breaks this thing's ankles. I love it. Ancient Dragon Man has blood in him. We put that on the outside, he dies. Medicine's super simple. Keep the blood on the inside, get the poop and the pee on the outside. Why do people need so much schooling for that? Jagged Peak Drake early? Why? Because getting these fragments is really boring. You know why you really love the media literacy checks audience? Because it's so much more interesting than saying, I walked here and I pressed triangle. Bonking the dragon's incredibly fun, even if we're getting hit by every single stray from Jagged Peak Kendrick. It turns out if someone hits your toes enough, you can die from that. Imagine cause of death being the worst stubbed toes you've ever had. Who's ready for the smoothest Jory fight we've ever had? Apparently not us. I got domed by the golden arches right away. After that though, we just kind of put them in the corner and begin bullying. Remember, the frogs were bullied and therefore they perpetuate the cycle of violence done to them. Now we'll bonk everyone else.
It's not easy being green.
Whoa, we're fighting a pig right after a Kermit needle drop? Light load makes this so much more manageable, so does a great big hammer. Just a couple of taparoos tenderize the pork, then we bleed the pork, then we feed on the pork. Pork. Fudge it. Let's just go fight Mesmer. No Jolan, no problem. He's got low stance. He's got low bleed resist. It's so fast we basically just instantly hit phase 2 and kind of struggled to get in there. Snakes are big. And they got big hitboxes. Not the easiest thing in the world. Definitely ain't the hardest though. First try win. Oh, we honestly did all of that before the Rao Scattertree fragments. So quick media literacy reprieve. We'll talk briefly about commodification of Unity. Rykard is an example of the system propping up its own opposition, which is still just consumption. When Rykard says we can devour the gods together, he means he's gonna eat you, and you are what I eat. It's deception, which, whoops, missed the snake as a symbol of deception in the religion rant last week. But yeah, snake is a religious symbol of deception, specifically in Christianity. Lots of biblical imagery in the George Martin Project. I am personally shocked by this. Anyway, 10 minutes later, we've grabbed all the fragments out of Ra and can fight the centipede. Oh wow, thematic symmetry. Not much to say. We just have better reach than the bear did, but my spacing is better than the tree sentinel build. We have better damage than both, more bleed buildup, easy win, onto Enia Ilum. Oh my god, it's more shadow trees. Okay, Dung Eater is a natural consequence of the consumptive cycle, perversing itself. The dude went Joker mode, needed to create his own group of people to oppress to feel power. That's like every serial killer. Moving on. Back to the boss fight. It's the dancing lion. Oh my god, he's already dead. I want to talk about these longer. I do. I know that this is an Elden Ring video, so I mean, Corey, like, try and play the fight out while I talk about how fast the fight is, but it's so fast. What am I supposed to do? Rilana next. Stance pressure. Bleed. She doesn't get to move. No moons tonight. The frogs make her croak. Maybe Midra will cause a problem. We have no mind investment, so we should go crazy really fast. And we do. We go crazy on that damage. Legit. From Dancing Lion through Midra was 10 minutes of the stream time. It took us longer to get the Shadow Tree fragments out of Raw, so it got more time in the script. Occult Hammer for the Putrescent Knight because it can't bleed.
Oh no. Anyway.
Yeah, still breaks down really fast, barely gets to see phase 2. The damage is just off the charts, folks. Perhaps the most glass of our recent runs, sure, but also perhaps the most canon. And we've had some canons lately. Tree Sentinel, Red Bear, Omen Killer. Honestly, you know who looks really bad after all this? Rilana and Mesmer. Y'all, why were you both so bad compared to the Frog? I guess you were NG Plus runs, but so was Red Bear and he did just fine. Let's beat up Anna and then get Bleed back on our hammer for Metter. Frogs hate fingers. Why are yours not webbed together? Another one that's just impossibly fast. No super Death Star laser for us. We'll just pound you into pudding. Shadow Tree Avatar on the boss rush. We actually have reach to hit the head. I don't think this thing can stance break until it phase transitions though, so that pressure and bleed don't matter. Okay, it's just a great hammer with damage and reach.
That's good.
We farm up that Albinauric shield after that, super fast, since we have the Silver Scarab Talisman from earlier. Wait, I only wanted the shield for Radahn. I'm saving him for last. Other than Bale, of course, I like him for dessert. So that means I've already beaten the Dancing Lion, Rilana, Mesmer, Gaius, Shadow Tree Avatar, Meteor, Midra, Romina, and the Putrescent Knight. Oh my god, I have, yeah. We've been fighting bosses for around 70 minutes of in-game time. That's less than 8 minutes per boss with all the extra running around for the Finger Ruins to get Meteor. For the like 2% of you who don't like the media literacy checks, this is why they're so long. Try to write a certain amount of video for a certain amount of stream, and the Shadow Tree farm is just 3 times longer than the rest of the bosses in the DLC. Except Radahn, that could go bad. So let's go beat up the Wicker Man for the Sekiro blocking tier. This is where I figured out it's damage based. You see, we bonked him when we first came into the Lands Between, and it took forever, and we died. But that's because we had no shadow trees multiplying our damage. Now it's just a couple of taps each time. Our stance pressure didn't change, our total damage did. That's science. Let in the gang. Oh, look who's here. It's Ansbach. We win the fight. Not much to talk about other than the Hornsense Omen Baron doing a redonkulous amount of damage. Seriously, what the fuck? But a lot of you dorks are saying to get Ansbach to show up, you have to stop Letta from fighting him, or you have to bring the book to Freya. Incorrect. We didn't do either this time. We brought him the scroll before we beat Mesmer. That's it. That's the key. You bring him the scroll after Mesmer? Too bad. Doesn't matter. He's gonna die. You don't get to do the fight thing with Letta. He's just dead. He is there to receive the scroll, but he's just dead. It has nothing to do with Freya or Letta. That's the only requirement. Also, you can just stop correcting people when you're not correct. You can just shut up. One last talisman for the Radahn fight. We get the curved sword talisman for better guard counters. Now let's go fight the big bad. First attempt, get those guard counters. They work okay. Sometimes he has moves that push us too far back, and I hate that. Come on. Stance pressure is quite nice, and as he goes for the nuke, I just try to run. Just use the shield. If you have a shield, just use the shield. Hell, if you have a weapon, just block that. Except that you're going to use a flask, take it on the chin. He jumps up for the first attempt, but we get stuck in a wall and take the meteor. Whoops. Let's try again. I'm noticing this shield has way worse guard boost than the Tree Sentinel shield. Occasionally, we do screw up the timing. Of course we do. I am not perfect at this. But we're either whiffing it a lot more or the guard boost is a lot worse. Either way, our stamina is getting chewed through. We died again. This is still very doable though. Hard, sure, but nothing like it was for Mesmer or R'hllana. Also, realizing that the double sword slash quake thing has knockback on the guard on the quake, but not on the swords. So push into him a little bit as he goes for it if you're at home and struggling with that. Boy, that Ship of the Holy damage in the second phase sure is absolutely brutal. He grabbed us once again and just keeps trying to do it. I felt foolish for getting grabbed once. God, can you imagine wasting your rune arc to shut that off? Super brief detour to get another putrid avatar just to get the runes to buy the rune arcs. We ran out. Hey, sometimes you die when you're a frog that doesn't wear pants fighting a god. Guess I didn't need to clarify that. Most frogs don't wear pants. Back at it, but swap out the guard counter talisman for the golden braid. Honestly, we weren't doing that much damage anyway. We're basically just trying to get stance breaks and bleed procs. I don't think Ben and Eric have landed a single frostbite, and I'm not just talking about this fight, I'm talking about in any fight. I think Anna and Jolan are the only two spirit ashes I've successfully gotten status procs from. Oh, Dung Eater, Rot Dog also. Next attempt, I tried not using the shield.
Not a great plan.
Yeah, really thought we could just dodge and get the benefits of two-handing. But even with a club this big, one-handing is fine. You get more friction when it moves. Friction causing bleed, not talking about jorking a penis. So back to the shield. We bring in the boys, and he tries to meteor Ansbach, get a nice stance break, then get some big hits off for phase 2. We YOLO in for another one. It doesn't work. Next try, get the good guard counters off. We're going Ansbach-less this time, giving him less pressure, resistance, and health. Stop summoning Ansbach, it makes him too strong. Yeah, it's not that bad. We make it to phase 2, but that's where it falls apart. Ben and Eric just really don't want to fight him. Neither do I. They're just like me. Say what you will about Ansbach. Say he's an idiot. Say he's devoted to a blood god. But he shows up. Oh, this one we get the stance break on a bleed. That looks really good. Like we smacked him real hard on the jaw. Reapply the roar in phase 2 for some big meaty hits. This dude is really just turning on all the iframes to shut off our stance damage. Big stance break. He flies up and we die to the second meteor explosion. Not great. Hey, we got really close that time though. Last rune arc. Let's get this bread. Some nice guard counters at the top. He wants to meteor Ansbach, but I don't summon, not yet. First, break him down. Get in his grill, then space a guard counter wrong. Big bummer. While he's locked onto our buddy, bring in more buddies. Phase 2 starts, and he decides to jump up in the air, become invincible for 20 seconds, and fully reset the pressure.
Great plan.
Seriously, it is so frustrating that he can just choose not to take damage. Ben dies. We get a big crit, then keep hitting him with everything we have. Couple guard counters, he starts to jump.
Not on my watch.
I'm the frog. I'm the one who hops. Dude grabs Ansbach and my friend, you fucked up. Get ready for the poly wallop. Radahn is dead. Who would win? A god piggybacking on the greatest warrior in the history of the lands? Or one froggy boy? The froggy boy, as long as you don't count the all the times he killed me. Took about 10 hours, but factoring in farming and all the running around we had to do, that's pretty impressive. It'll go at the bottom of A tier, and this is shocking. Mesmer the Impaler is in B tier, but I can honestly say this build was better than Mesmer. Legendary spear that impales everything ain't much if you don't got the poison in the armor to finish that weapon art. It was let down by its armor, much more than the frog was. Because with the Great Hammer, you just need to bonk. You don't have to wind up your weapon arts or spells, simply walk forward, press the bonk button, maybe roll every now and then. The armor's bad, but I kind of love it. Like, do you know how satisfying it is to beat the hardest bosses you've ever fought? Then look at your character, and it's just a fat little frog with no thoughts in his head, drenched head to toe in god blood. Now imagine the power of 12 billion of these little buddies unionizing. That's the true god build. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, I think we might make another one. Maybe subscribe and find out. Join the Patreon to support the channel. It's the best way to do it. And follow us on Twitch to hang out live while we're finding new ways to play the game.